Good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. Yeah, so we're back for part two. I thought I was gonna make this two separate, a part B or a part two, but I just figured that, you know what, I'll just continue because it's basically coming from the same pool of questions. So yeah. This is You're Probably Right, and you're listening to MCM, and we're just going to continue with these questions. Hopefully one day somebody will be able to make sense of all this nonsense. Maybe they'll just say, the speaker was just a sociopath or a person who was self-centered or worse. But damage cuts deep, and nobody can say what has damaged another person when it comes to feelings of anything, really. The question is whether or not you're going to stay in those feelings, or if you are going to do something about those things that make you feel ways that you don't want to feel. And the question is, are you learning, or have you learned from the things that have probably made you feel horrible? And what can you give to those who, you come across that are going through some of the same things? Understanding that those people who are going through some of the same things that you've gone through are different people, and they have different resiliency than you do, different personality traits and characteristics about them that, sometimes you feel like if you're interfering in a process that has been set before a person by God. But at the same time, it's like, you want to make sure that you give in to other people's lives in a positive way, in a real way. Maybe not positive in the direction that they're actually going, but positive in that it will do something positive for their life and hopefully leading them in a direction toward Christ. At least for me. Now, I know that I talk about Jesus and the Bible and Christianity a lot, and I guess curiously my views have gone down. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and someone I guess because of the new podcast or launch with Spotify, I think they're going away from the Anchor name. I think it almost seems like the Anchor name brings some type of a bargain basement kind of a Gap to Old Navy feel to it. So they've decided to, go back to the four stripes of Spotify on their app, and they're probably going to slowly just slide right out of the Anchor game and make everything Spotify under one proper umbrella. So those using Anchor don't have to feel like they're less than, because people don't even want to use the Anchor logo on their stuff, I noticed. But anyways, at the end of the day, I don't even know who's going to actually hear this podcast or these podcasts, really. I could go through trying to do some type of a marketing campaign, but anyway, the person was saying on LinkedIn that they feel that their podcast, because it is a Christian type podcast, that they've been somehow shadow banned, or whatever the word was. Shadow, just basically sent to the shadow realm where nobody can hear their podcast. And I mean, honestly, like, no joke, I feel like I've experienced the same thing. And I think that I've had stuff to say are worthwhile hearing. How about that? Everybody has something to say, but maybe we're not all worthwhile being heard. No, that's not. I can't say it that way. I guess some are worthwhile being heard more than others, maybe. And I don't even know that I'm even worthy of a lot of it being heard, because I know that there are at least 10 crappy podcasts within the 100 that I'm at right now that I could they're almost sitting there just for number's sake. That might even be the first one. That might be, maybe not the second one, because the second one was something that I did like 5 years before any of the other podcasts. But I mean, at the same time, there's learning experiences, there's learning processes that I've gone through. And, when I have the guts, maybe I'll go back and listen to some of them and like strike them from the record. Although, sadly, a lot of people heard my crappier episodes. And some of the deeper, more helpful ones have not been heard as much. And I don't know if they're ever going to be heard as much or heard at all, really. Like, I'm hoping for the minimum effect that my podcast will stay on for posterity's sake, at least. If I ever have grandchildren, and I have children, but like my kids don't listen to my podcast. So, and at the time that they're being made, I don't even know that it's really for them. It's kind of like for future. Not necessarily like speaking from the grave, but I would like them to listen to it at some point in their lives, but I can't really say what they're going to do. And I don't know, because companies are changing faster, and establishments and all kinds of places are changing their ways of business and going out of businesses. Banks are being shut down now. It's all started with that Silicon Valley Bank, whatever it is. And it's gone on from there like a house of cards or a set of dominoes. So I can't say, like, it could be Spotify could be next. Apple could be next. Sony could be next. Viacom, like, everything's just crumbling around us in this society. So we don't know. Sometimes you think you're in a crappy place. Like, I was noticing a school that was their school attendance was waning. There weren't very many young families in the neighborhood, partially because young families just can't afford to live in that neighborhood. So now they're building up infrastructure and probably building up a condo right across from said school. So, and it's on the separate school board. So I don't know if that, one day they'll have to either sell the school, or they'll have to come out and decide that they're just going to allow everybody, which they've kind of done that anyway as staff and students. There's a lot of people who do not, it's a Catholic school, and there's a lot of people who work there and a lot of kids who attend there who aren't Catholic. So it's like, it's kind of like how, what was it? I can't remember what the schools, the universities in the States that were big Christian schools. I don't know if it wasn't Yale, but there's a few that were Christian schools, and now they're not anymore. What was that? It sounded like a house of cards just fell. But anyway, that's how it goes sometimes. That's a good one. But anyways, so just getting back to the questions, I'm going to do my best to try to stay in the mode. Probably sound different than part one, even though they're both going to be on the same recording, I suppose. I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. But anyhow, I will say again, welcome to You're Probably Right. This is your host, MCM. You're welcome at my house anytime. And remember, I do not profess to be a professor of anything. I'm just a dude on the mic, a Christian on the mic, just talking what he thinks, what he feels, talking about my history, my past, all kinds of things. Whatever comes to my mind, I spit it, and it's up to you to take what makes sense and leave what doesn't make sense. And if you think I'm totally off on most of the stuff that I say, well, guess what? You're probably right. And that's where you are. Okay, so here we go. So next question from this group of questions. And I kind of cut into a set. So this is number 6 of a different set. Okay. What are some examples of successful programs or initiatives that have been implemented to support Black students in their academic and professional pursuits? It's funny that this is the question, because I was just talking to a gentleman today. Life has brought him all kinds of different struggles and trials. And, I was telling him about, after he was actually speaking to a group of students, and he was giving kind of his life story and stuff like that. And I said, there's a program that my son was in, and you guys actually have the same, I don't know, aspirations. I would like to say, I guess it's a hobby right now. And there was a program that was put on by actually somebody pretty famous in Toronto, from Toronto. And well, he's kind of, the guy's affiliated with it, whatever. But the bottom line is, I was telling the guy about it, and he's like, oh, I didn't even know about this thing. And it was something for not necessarily black youth, it's kind of for youth of the so-called culture, the black culture, things that surround the black culture, or things that are known as things from the black culture. So hip hop, just R&B, writing, photography, acting, a whole bunch of different things, dance. It is definitely centered around young black entrepreneurs and students. And I was just telling him about it, and it seems like something that is successful. Now, what I see that the most successful programs are that generally help young black people are things and places that can group them together so they can work together. They don't have to necessarily compete, but they are in a place where they can get help from each other, and they can support each other. I think that is a great place to start. I don't believe it always has to start in a place of competition like athletics generally does. And athletics, I don't even want to say that it's like math. Although there's math in it. It's just, I don't even know what I'm saying. But the bottom line is, what I really think is that athletics is like, you can get so far. You can get to collegiates with your head and a little bit of athletic ability. You can get to like you can play high school, you can play college. You might even be able to play university, especially when it's not that competitive, or when a lot of the better so-called athletes are not even, can't get in. In other words, what we've noticed when I was growing up was that the college basketball players at the college level in Toronto, in Ontario, were better than the students who were playing at the university level. And the reason why is because the kids that were playing at college level couldn't get into the universities academically, and they didn't care about how good you were. It was more all about academics. Now, somebody may argue and say that's not right. Maybe they should do it the way the States does it, the United States. But then, you hear those sob stories, those horrible stories of, I think of that movie, Friday Night Lights, with that character, Booby Miles. And he was in university, I think it was, I can't even remember if it was a high school, maybe it was high school. But the bottom line is he was trying to get a full ride scholarship, whatever it is, busted up his legs, and that was it. And then it was like, oh, don't worry, you can go to college. We'll offer you this, that, and the other. But I think at the end of the day, I think they found out that the guy couldn't even read. So what was he going to do in university or college if he can't even read? And I guess that type of thing was kind of promoted throughout the United States. But I don't know how much. I can't say. I mean, a lot of what I know is from TV. But actually, I do know a few friends and family members who did do their education in the States. But it seemed like they was pretty competitive where they were. So I guess it depends where you are. But the bottom line is the kids here who are in college, at university, at college, which is community college, and if they played people who were in university, now what I noticed was the reason why the kids in universities at those times could probably compete and maybe even beat the more athletically skilled players at college is because the universities could afford better coaching, better facilities, better rehab, all that stuff. So that was interesting. which makes me kind of think about, and I know I've kind of veered off topic about, what programs have helped black students, but a lot of this has affected black students even when I was growing up, because it was like a lot of us were half decent athletes, not amazing, but better than a lot of the ones that ended up going to university and playing. But I think that, sometimes society worships people who are really good at something, where definitely you should only worship God. But I wish society had a check on itself, that they didn't just kind of fall all over themselves over people who are amazing at something, naturally amazing at something. It's like, does the student that is 12 years old and just finished his second degree in university deserve more respect or more love or more adoration than the regular 12-year-old who's just going into grade 7 and pulling C's and B's and trying really hard? Now, obviously, the first student is somewhat of a gifted child. But what I'm saying is, should we be blessing the gifted or the hardworking? What is black excellence? You know what I mean? Like, it reminds me of an athlete who 2 years before he got on the national stage in his athletic area was close to being kicked out of school. And he did get kicked out of school, matter of fact. And he got kicked out of school into another school that tried to help foster his abilities rather than concentrating on his inability to behave or his inability to fit in properly in the mainstream of society or the mainstream in the population of his school. And maybe he also got away from a few bad eggs. I don't know. But the bottom line is, after he got kicked out of school and put into another school, 4 years later, he was probably worth $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, actually, just for jokes, while I have you, let me just check it out. I'm gonna literally type in the net right now. Let's see. Yeah, they. Let's see. They don't really give. Oh, here we go. Let's go. Yeah. So think about it. 4 years after they graduated from high school and got on the national stage, and now, say 10 years later, they're worth $4 million, where maybe at that time they might have been worth $40. Like, I mean, I don't know how you really give somebody's net worth. I know you pull in a lot of their potential earnings that they've had, and whatever they extrapolate that or something over what their career length could possibly be or whatever it is. But the bottom line is, it's like you just don't know. But his gifts were fostered, and probably they most likely looked the other way on a lot of his bad behaviors. You know what I mean? But it's like, do we worship this kid, or should society worship people like this? Like, because you have a 48-inch vertical jump, or because you're able to calculate math as fast as a calculator? Like, these things aren't taught. These things are gifts. So I just believe as a Christian that we should be worshiping the giver of gifts, not the gifts and those who are gifted. And the truth is, most of the people who are gifted come with a whole lot of quirks. You know, we think of all those crazily talented artists and scientists and athletes who, you know, on other parts of their life, there was some serious issues with them, or people would say there were serious issues with them. I think about Michael Jordan. Everybody respected Michael Jordan. He looked like an upstanding citizen, and he said the right things, and he tended not to say too much or speak out of turn in society. But then, it's the famous Hall of Fame speech that he gave that people were like, this guy is a psychopath. No, he's not killing people, but he's a different character. You think about people who have dominated in sports and in different areas. There's usually, if you don't have to dig very far for them to seem a little bit off to the average person. But that's exactly right. They're not average. They're created differently. Like we were all created differently, but they just happen to be created to do something that we admire in society better than 98% of the other people ever in some cases. So anyways, totally got off that. But as I said, the best things that people could do, I believe, or the best things that have been done to help Black students is to help them understand their gifts, help them understand how they can help others, and allow them to receive help from others in bolstering their areas of expertise or their areas in which they would like to pursue. Okay, next question. How important do you think it is for Black students to have access to positive role models and mentors who look like them and have similar experiences? I think it depends on how much focus you put on the color of your skin. I believe there's one race. It's the human race. I don't believe Black is a race. Black is just a color. It's pigmentation in your skin. Have they delved into whether or not the brain sizes are different or many other things? I know they used to say that Black people have an extra muscle in the back of their leg, and that's why they run faster and all that kind of stuff. And it was said, I don't know what truth there really is into any of that. So then, because I don't know why they're fast Japanese and white runners then that run as fast and faster. Well, how about that kid? Was it Matt McClung who won the slam dunk contest in the NBA? He was a G leaguer, but he was put in there to compete, and he won hands down. Like, does he have an extra muscle? Is he part Black somewhere in 17 generations back or something? But I don't place any importance on it, but it is nice to see. Now, when I look back at myself, I mean, the worst teacher I had, the worst teachers, that I could actually think of two teachers. One was just a general teacher in elementary, and the one that gave me most of the problems that I dealt with, he was a Black guy. And then his replacement when he got sick was a Black guy. And I can't even go into what I know about them personally that says no. And then when I got to high school, I thought it was really cool that I had a Black science teacher. I won't say at what school, but I mean, if you've listened enough and you know where I'm from, and you could probably figure it out maybe if you knew the guy, but I don't know how much I didn't think it was a big deal, and I didn't see him coddling or being that much of a role model as far as his behaviors towards the Black students, or at least not to me anyway, that made it any difference. Say, oh, there's a teacher and he teaches science and he's Black or whatever. It didn't make any difference to me. And I could say most of the teachers that helped me the most were certainly not Black, but I mean, the percentage was like probably 4% of my teachers were Black. So I don't think it's that necessary. I think they just need to have general role models around doing different things, doing things other than working as nurses and working as janitors and picking up garbage on the street and dunking basketballs in the NBA, and you know, the 2% that are in the NHL that are Black. And like, it's nice to see. I used to like to see when I'd see Tony McKegney in Buffalo Sabres Val, what's his name? Vin James, whatever, Val James, whatever it is. He played in Leaf. I think he played in at least maybe 2 games, 3 games. I mean, I noticed them when they were there, and I guess I knew them by name because it was nice to see. So, but how important is it? I don't really think it's that important. I think it's just, I think we should see people of all colors in doing different things, and having one area clouded or clogged up with one culture, I guess, or one, one color person, like type of color of skin in one thing. But it's hard to say because, I mean, what if there just are 98% better, of the population of whatever, like say like Chinese people or something like that, better at math, so they get all the math jobs or whatever it is, or the engineering jobs, you get all the Indian guys. Like, what if they are better and they're just engineering better things? Do we want color to be a part of it, to encourage other kids to pursue that? Like, maybe those who are in there, maybe they should be responsible for helping to teach others from other cultures the same thing that they're doing. I don't know. And maybe why would they want to? Like, they're probably hoping their kids are going to do what they're doing. I don't know. But I mean, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, look at quotas. Like, my most recent job, I literally, after I was offered the job, I guess most people don't do it, but it was really a deep push to get BIPOC people in jobs. And because I know I was going in a job that some of the things didn't really make sense to me as to why I was picked, even after everything, after interview. I mean, I know I interviewed well, whatever it is, but then there were certain aspects of the job I was like, why did I get this job? And I literally asked the hiring manager. I wanted to make sure I wasn't hired because I was black. I hate that. And I might have a different view. Maybe some people just want to get ahead no matter how they get ahead. But could you imagine if, like, let's say, I don't know what the percentage of NBA players are black now, but could you imagine if that went down like 10 or 20% just because they wanted to see more Asian or more white people in the basketball association? Like, how much worse or how much better do you think basketball would be if all of a sudden they decided to see if they could drop down and put some more 5'7", 5'8" guys in the league just because of their height? So, do you want the person who can fly your plane the best, or do you want the person flying your plane because the color of their skin? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So I think if people are in those places of position, just encourage all that look up to them, or motivate all who are coming behind them, no matter what color they are. I think it would help so much more than just worrying about what color a person is. And I think if you just develop a culture that way, a culture of respect, a culture of actual justice, not social justice. It's been said before, and I heard it first from John MacArthur. Justice is justice. Social justice is not justice. Social justice is a perversion of justice. Yes, all lives do matter, and whoever came up with Black Lives Matter, for whatever their thoughts were, maybe it was cool at the beginning, but as it went on further and further, you realize that it was just nonsense to me. But I know that there's people who will listen to this and say, what are you talking about? I know this. Well, bully for you, man. But I just think that we are all of one race, the human race. I believe we all are descendants of Adam and Eve and, Abraham. And our eyes shape and color and hair color and curliness and melanin and hair in the skin, and everything is different. Height's different. Propensity to be fat and overweight is different, or bony and skinny and short and whatever. Like, we're all needed. We're all here. So I think if we can just encourage everyone, no matter what they look like, it would be a big difference. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Do you believe that the media has a responsibility to accurately represent the experiences and achievements of Black students and professionals? If so, how can they improve in this regard? I think just by news media, I don't think they should be forced to have one black guy in a group of 7 just for optics. I don't like to see that stuff. I'm still fine in watching a movie from the 40s or 50s that didn't have any black people in there at all. It was much worse, I guess, to see the little black roles, like maybe a Hattie McDaniel will have to play like a mammy type nursemaid maid kind of person. And I don't know how real, maybe that was real in the society back then. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I don't like when they just throw us in there for color. You know? I mean that in both ways. Like we don't need one in 7. One black guy. We don't need you to turn Hulk into a black man all of a sudden, or we don't need you to turn Spider-Man into a black teenager. We're wearing Michael Jordan shoes. Like, we don't need it. Like, if I was a white person, it would piss me off if they took all of my parents' heroes and made them black and brown just because it's the social right thing to do, or whatever whoever thinks the socially conscious thing to do. Like, it just destroys it to me. I don't want them to make a movie in 20 years and make Michael Jordan white. Like, why? Why can't people just be what they are? You know, I can watch the movie The Bells of St. Mary and love it for what it is, exactly how it is, and not say, where are all the black people? What city was this? I know there was a higher population of black people there at that time. It's nonsense. It's not necessary. I just say don't hide the color. So don't make a movie about 1990s in Bronx, New York in 20 years when, you know, Biggie was around, and all of a sudden have no black kids all of a sudden, or whatever it is. Like, just show what the news is. Just, you know, the news should show the news. Don't pick through it so much that it seems so fake, right? Don't only show this or that. Just show us what's out there, and those who are trying to entertain and show their stories. Show all the stories. And I don't think it'll be that much of a big difference. So, like, yeah, there's a responsibility of just showing what's there and who's out there, but not in a way that the work has to suffer. That's horrible. How can black students leverage their unique experience and culture and backgrounds to succeed in their chosen fields? And how can this diversity benefit society as a whole? Listen, black students, or any student, can leverage their unique experience and cultural background by expressing those things in a positive manner, by working hard. If you know that you need a 70 to pass, go for 80, and you know, maybe go for nothing less. I've seen other students in other cultures do that. That's what they need. That's what they like. Do you need to be on video games or hanging at the mall, or do you need to be make sure that you understand your information so you can pass the test properly, so that you can develop understanding of the lessons? Do you go home and spend an extra 20 to half an hour to 45 minutes just going over your notes when there is no homework? I mean, other people do. So the best thing that they could do is just apply themselves for real. And there are some who do. And you can see that in a lot of the students who come from the African continent. They work their butts off like other cultures. Now, there are some cultures, black people from certain cultures or certain countries who, I'd say oftentimes, don't work as hard at certain things. They work hard at other things. Well, then if you want to work at your music, then put your music first and work your butt off. But it's art. You may or may not make some money off of your art. Learn trades. Trades are not a despicable thing. Now they're looking for trades people. They can't find any. They have to go to other countries. Why? Because they took all the shops out of the schools. I mean, when I was a kid, in the neighborhood that I was at, we learned how to weld in grade 7. Weld with tanks and acetylene tanks and flux and all that stuff to weld metal together and cut metal. We learned wood shop. We learned how to sew. We learned how to cook. Now they don't have these things. They make these beautiful, nice buildings with nothing in them. Just a bunch of computers and tables and nice looking futuristic tables and smart boards with stupid students. Things that you can touch the screen with your finger and you can align everything, and great, you can draw, do little geometry on there that maybe last like 2 weeks out of the whole school year. But then there's no things to learn. There's nothing to teach students about different types of labor. They don't teach kids how to do their finances properly. Like, why are students not taught in grade 10, knowing that by grade 10, why are they not learned how to do their own taxes? Why are they not taught how to use credit cards properly? Why are they not taught how to change a tire or sand rust off a car so their parents' car doesn't rust to nothing? Like, there's so many things that could be done. Your parents only have a certain amount of time weekly with their students, their kids, to teach them some of those simple things. Like, why are we not learning those things? I think teaching has to change. What we're teaching kids have to change if you really want kids to succeed, no matter what the color they are. What advice would you give a black student or black students who are facing challenges in achieving their goals, or who may be feeling discouraged about their prospects for success? At the end of the day, it's kind of basically what I've been saying. Apply yourself, work hard, and even more than that, if there was some way that the parents of these students were able to spend more time. Now, some are able and they don't because they didn't have it either. Sometimes they don't even have the understanding. It's been a generational thing. It's been a cycle. So if parents of black students could have more time and spend more time with their kids, teaching them that hard work is important. It's not about how much bling you got around your neck, or how shiny your shoes are, or how fast or cool your car is, or how laid to the side your hair is, or your fade or your cut, your bling, your style, your fit, all these things. If things seem bleak or discouraging, then I could say nothing beats hard work and studying. Study to show yourself approved. And many have been shown to be approved because of their hard work and because of their ability, because they have applied themselves and because they've been nurtured and they've been brought up in the right way. So I would like to start from where these black students come from, and that's home. What is their home situation? Are their parents able to provide for them? Do their parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs? Are the families broken up because the mothers can get more money from social assistance than they can if the father's in the home? These things. Are the parents working 12-hour shifts as PSWs and therefore have no time for their students? Like, there's so many things that's just beyond what a black kid can do on their own. They need support. No man is an island. It takes a village to raise. Like, you understand, these things are said for a reason. But yeah, so I'm going to stop there right now, and we're going to pick right back up. come check out You Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 docs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.